Dear friends, welcome back to The Informant. In today's episode, we'll dive into a stark warning issued by General Jack Keane, a seasoned United States Army veteran, who suggests that we're living in a prelude to global conflict, a path edging us closer to what he believes is an inevitable Third World War. But before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. General Jack Keane is widely respected within U.S. military circles. His distinguished service and profound insights on defense and national security make him one of the most authoritative voices on global geopolitics and security. Recently, in a powerful interview, Keane stated unequivocally that we are in a pre-war state. But what exactly does he mean, and why are his words resonating so strongly right now? Keane warns that today's international climate is the most perilous and challenging since World War II. He argues that the increasingly assertive stances of nations like Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, countries forming what he sees as an anti-Western alliance, pose a genuine threat to the global balance of power. These nations are not only formidable on their own, but are now willing to support each other in ways that even Western intelligence finds unsettling. To understand the gravity of today's geopolitical risks, it helps to look back at the period leading up to World War I. At the dawn of the 20th century, major powers were similarly split into alliances. The Triple Entente, comprising the United Kingdom, France, and Russia, stood against the Triple Alliance, which included Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. These alliances, intended to foster security, instead created a powder keg where any minor conflict could ignite a continent-wide war. And that's precisely what happened in 1914. Today we're witnessing a similar alignment. On one side we have the United States and NATO allies, while on the other, a bloc led by Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. This alliance shares not only an anti-Western ideology, but also strategic objectives, including weakening U.S. influence and expanding their own control. The military buildup and readiness of these powers hint at a level of preparation that's hard to ignore. Let's break down the motivations behind each member of this new bloc. Each country brings unique history and motives, yet together they represent a formidable geopolitical force against the West. Post-Cold War, Russia entered a phase of economic and military revival. Under Vladimir Putin's leadership, the country has sought to reassert itself as a superpower. From the 2014 annexation of Crimea to the ongoing invasion of Ukraine, Russia's expansionist ambitions are evident. Moscow has heavily invested in its military, focusing on nuclear capabilities and modernizing its armed forces. Russia's approach is clear: solidify its borders and ensure that Europe and NATO think twice before challenging it. China's rapid economic growth over recent decades has enabled it to establish one of the world's most powerful militaries. The South China Sea, a critical point for global trade, has been militarized by Beijing in its bid for control. Moreover, China's increasingly aggressive stance toward Taiwan signals that it won't tolerate any challenges to what it deems its sovereign territories. China has also forged strong trade and military ties with anti-Western nations and maintains an openly anti-American, anti-Israel position. Iran, meanwhile, continues its nuclear program, stirring significant concern in the West and among its neighbors. Iran's influence stretches across the Middle East through groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, making it a crucial pillar in the anti-Western network. Under Kim Jong-un, North Korea has been ramping up its nuclear and long-range missile capabilities. Despite economic isolation, North Korea maintains strategic ties with China and, more recently, Russia. Its nuclear arsenal serves as a potent deterrent and a show of force. This ongoing instability in the region adds immense pressure on U.S. allies like Japan and South Korea. Together, these powers form a bloc that represents a formidable geopolitical challenge. Not only do they seek to weaken U.S. influence, but they actively share intelligence, military strategies, and, at times, even warfare technologies. Today's world finds itself in a new arms race, distinct from that of the early 20th century in both scale and technology. while World War I introduced chemical weapons, heavy artillery, and tanks. A Third World War would feature vastly different arsenals, including nuclear weapons, hypersonic missiles, attack drones, and cyber warfare. The US remains the world's foremost military power, yet the pace of modernization within China's and Russia's armed forces is alarming. China, for instance, is developing intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching American soil, expanding its navy, and investing in artificial intelligence for warfare applications. Russia, meanwhile, is focusing on modernizing its nuclear arsenal and developing hypersonic missiles, which could penetrate any current Western defense system. This arms race isn't merely a numbers game, it's about advanced capabilities. Technologies like artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, surveillance systems, and cyber weapons introduce a new level of sophistication and destructive potential. Any future conflict would likely result in casualties and destruction on a scale far surpassing those of World Wars I and II. The election of Donald Trump introduced a fresh approach to American diplomacy. A firm believer in peace through strength, Trump has demonstrated a willingness to reassess alliances and engage directly with adversarial leaders, including those of Russia and North Korea. However, General Keane argues that American policy must go beyond negotiations. He advocates for rebuilding the U.S. armed forces to restore a credible deterrent, ensuring adversaries comprehend the high stakes of challenging American and allied interests. Keane also emphasizes direct support for allies facing key adversaries. He believes the U.S. must provide Israel and Ukraine with the resources needed to secure swift victories. Success in these conflicts would send a powerful message to the anti-Western bloc that the U.S. and its allies are prepared to stand firm. General Keane's warnings serve as a sobering reminder of the consequences of inaction. The parallels to the early 20th century are not overstated. With hostile alliances, an arms race, and mounting regional tensions, we're at a precarious turning point. History shows that when global powers become ensnared in cycles of mistrust and intimidation, the path to war is all too clear. If you value independent journalism and want to support our work, consider buying us a coffee using the QR code on your screen. Your contributions are vital to help us keep delivering in-depth analysis and high-quality insights. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to subscribe to The Informant for the latest news on the world's most urgent geopolitical issues.